Hey, it's me, John the Baptiser, not to be confused with John the basket weaver or John the fisherman. Camel's hair, wild locust and honey aside, I never quite imagined myself as the revolutionary. But here I am, locked up, courtesy of King Herod Antipas, who just recently took his brother's wife as his own. He listens to me, intrigued, wild and untamed though I seem. And this is my message. The kingdom is near. The good news is upon us. Make the path straight. Lift up the valleys. Lop off the tops of mountains. And get on board the revolution. This revolution pits us in combat with the enemy. But the enemy is not the one that Herod knows well. The one where there is us here and the enemy is over there. No, not this one. The revolution is here, the kingdom is near, and the enemy is within. Master this enemy. Defeat this enemy. Take control and conquer the beast of distorted desire and be set free. And in your liberation, in our liberation, become the liberation of others, bearing a grace, a truthfulness, a light that changes everything. Lords and kings and Herods and emperors, beware. This revolution and its conquest is necessary. But we can't do it on our own. We need an aid, a power from outside, as uncomfortable as that truth might be. So that's why I point. I'm John the Pointer, and there is one who comes full of grace and truth and unconditional love, with the power to conquer this enemy. His name is Jesus. Jesus comes among us to set us free, to set us all free. In the hills around Jerusalem, there is harvest upon harvest, and on every ridge there's a circle where the harvest is cut and laid, and their children skip with oxen as they circle around and round and trample on the harvest, enough to loosen. So when the stalks are withdrawn and the winnowing fork is placed inside and lifts that to the sky, and the wind catches the chaff and the husk and blows it away, never to be returned, the grain falls to the ground. The goodness is there. The winnowing fork does not separate grain from grain. It separates the rough and the rot from the grain, leaving the goodness of the kernel itself. That's what Jesus does. He's not here to separate people from people, but to separate the rot that defiles, the detritus that infects and holds back and distorts that goodness. Jesus is among us, winnowing fork in hand, separating what needs to be gone, leaving the goodness behind, ready for a harvest. And the harvest is among us. That harvest is grace and truth. The fruits of that harvest, grace and truth, sight and freedom, light and liberation. So, kings and emperors and lords, beware. Your subjects are not yours anymore. And Jesus is among us, winnowing fork in hand, granting release, liberation, that we as citizens would find in our liberation the power to be the liberation of others.